Hi class, this is Module 13, Tort Liability for EDL 951. What is a tort? Tort is a legal term describing a violation where one person causes damage, injury, or harm to another person. Violation may result from intentional actions, a breach of duty as in negligence, or due to a violation of statutes. The party that commits the tort is called the tortfeasor. Tortfeasor incurs tort liability, meaning that they will have to reimburse the victim for the harm that they have caused them. In other words, the tortfeasor who is found to be liable or responsible for a person's injuries will likely be required to pay damages, according to Legal Match. First case we're going to look at is Barnett versus Caldwell. This is where students were horsing around and a student fell to the ground with the other student on top of him. The accident caused a laceration of a major blood vessel by a dislocated collarbone. The student was pronounced dead at the hospital. The parents, of course, were upset as they claimed that the injuries could have been prevented by proper supervision by the teacher. The teacher supposedly had to go to the restroom and asked the other teacher to watch her room while she went out. So, supervision in the classroom is always very important. Reactive. I would react to this, meet with staff to cover policy on supervision in the classrooms. Make sure they all understand the importance of it. Proactive. Make sure at the beginning of every year, or maybe even throughout the semesters, that you go through the policy about supervision in classrooms and how important it is, and that students should never be left without supervision. Ethics of it all. When students aren't supervised properly, bad things happen. You and I have seen it happen in many situations, and when a teacher's in there, there just isn't as big a chance of bad things happening. Our next court case is with the Manhattan Beach City School District. A student arrived at school to attend classes, but before the end of the scheduled classes, he left the school premises. At a public intersection, a motorcycle struck Michael and he was seriously injured. A few hours after the accident, Michael's mother saw him in the hospital and suffered emotional and physical injuries. That is the claim. Cameras are always a good way to monitor the exits. React to the situation. Make sure cameras are appropriate at doors for entering and exiting the buildings. You also could possibly have a hall monitor on duty. Proactive part. I'd have a accountability in place for staff to always know where their students are. Hall monitors might be needed so students can't sneak out without someone knowing. And having a monitor in the offices of the exits of the building is always good, where people are watching them. Just more eyes on the exits. Ethics of it all. When students aren't properly supervised, bad things happen. Where have we heard that before? So meaning know where your students are at all times. Have a system in place so that the hall monitors can say ask them for a pass or whatever, so they know where they are. Third court case, Munn versus Hotchkiss School. This is where a 15-year-old Kara Munn was bitten by a tick while hiking in a forested mountain in China during the summer school trip for the school district. The tick transmitted encephalitis, which in turn caused Kara serious neurological damage, leaving her permanently unable to speak. The jury awarded them $10 million in economic damages and $31.5 million in non-economic damages. So huge payoff. Could really be a problem. So with trips, how can we react to this? Review all forms that go out to parents for trips and procedures during trips. Make sure we're covering everything and getting the word out, being transparent about what might happen. Proactively, it is more important to make sure all forms cover the liability of what might incur on that trip. It also is very important to plan accordingly for all situations with staff and administration. Ethics of it all, school trips are great learning experiences for students. Proper planning is very important so all goes well. Great communication makes everyone understand the risk. Next court case. We got a couple last ones here. Fourth one is with the Millard School District. The student was injured during a physical education class conducted in the gymnasium of a junior high school. He was struck by a golf club swung by a fellow student. He was rendered unconscious and died 2 days later without regaining consciousness. The trial court awarded damages totaling $53,570. I actually taught a golf class in my first 4 years of PE, and I had a kid that got struck by a golf club because he broke my rules. The good thing was I had everything in place, and I was not liable. He was doing something that he was told not to do. So, golf clubs are a dangerous weapon. Reactive. Meet with staff to cover policies on all activities in their classrooms. Talk about safety and liability. The proactive part. This policy was already set with the instruction when doing golf, but it wasn't followed by the educator. We as admin must make sure all policies are followed, or why even have them. Meet with staff and make sure they understand their policies. The ethics of it all. It is important that staff keep the learning environment as safe as possible. Proper planning is important so that happens. Our last one is also with the School District of Millard. Johnson versus Millard School District. Johnson was injured while attending his music class. 2 children accidentally released their hands and threw Johnson into a bookcase at the end of the room while playing London Bridge. He cut his head above his right eyebrow. The court awarded $20,000, around $20,000 for medical disfigurement and pain and suffering. We've all played London Bridge. Felt this teacher probably didn't set up rules good enough, and could have done a much better job of controlling the situation. So how do we react? We meet with the teacher and discuss the liability of the situation and what they could have done differently. Proactively, we make sure lesson plans are checked by admin and that all procedures are understood for safety precautions. Detailed instruction is important, and knowing your students that are involved is also very important because you might have to make up some more rules. The ethics of it all. It's important that a teacher understand the consequences of their activities. Rules must be explained and followed in detail. In summary, staff need to make sure they understand the responsibilities of their job. Supervision, safety, and accountability for students is of great importance. It is best to be proactive in all situations so accidents may be prevented. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation.